Welcome to part 2 of the Springtide Cemetery build. Let's continue where we left off, painting the tile. I'm using Liquitex sprays because they have a great color range and they are not solvent heavy, so I can use them inside with ventilation instead of going outside each time I have to spray something. I'm using burnt umber for the brown and parchment for the off-white. I'm using cheap acrylics for all my terrain paint. They are great to use thinned for washes and in combination with PVA glue for strengthening mixes. I start with applying base colors, giving all the gravestones a coat of light grey, the fence a dark grey, some white on the skeletons, and brown on the wooden planks and graveyard edges. Then I use off-white to paint the stone path, as I want it to stand out from the gravestones. When the base colors are done, it's time for a serious wash. I mix PVA glue, black paint, grey paint and water and apply it on everything that is base coated. While still wet, I add some black to diversify the wash. Mostly in recesses like the bottom of the fence and around gravestones. The mausoleum roofs get a coat of blue mixed with grey, as we want it to look like oxidized copper. When that has dried completely, it's time to break out your old brushes for some serious dry brushing. I'm dry brushing everything using the same colors as their base coats, so off-white for the stone path, light grey for the graves, and light brown for the woodwork. Then I'm adding a bright orange spot wash to the fence to simulate rust, and while this is still wet, add another spot wash with brown, so the rust becomes multicolored. I pick out the skulls in off-white as well. Back to the mausoleum roofs, I use a light blue and green mix and make a thick wash of it. I apply it all over the roof, focusing on the recesses. I mix PVA, green flock and some water to make a lovely moss mix that can be painted onto any surface you want. I apply it on the trees, the fence and the graves, of course. While that dries, I'm washing the heads with Games Workshop Seraphim Sepia and dry brush them with the same off-white as their base coat. That's the painting done. Time to bring out your flock. Static grass, tufts and so on. I'm using a NOCH Flockmaster to apply a mix of 3 kinds of static grass. 2 and 4 mm dead grass and 6 mm yellow grass. Start with a coating of watered down PVA glue and apply your static grass. It really helps to go over the same spot multiple times. Make sure to use a vacuum cleaner to remove all the excess grass, else it will end up all over the place. Bushes are added using seaweed trees. I spray mine roughly brown to remove some color, as they can be a bit bright, and apply them with PVA glue. These are absolutely great to hide gaps, less attractive parts of the build, and to fill out open areas. They also look amazing. I add more moss by applying PVA and then sprinkling the PVA with green flock. Simple, effective, and it looks great. After that, I bulk up some of the graves with Clump foliage, which adds diversity to the vegetation and adds much needed volume to some of the graves. Some tufts are added, again for diversity. Diversity in nature really makes it become more believable, and it's a lot of fun adding small bits and bobs here and there. Then I add nature materials around the trees, before sprinkling the trees and their surrounding with birch tree leaves. I bought mine from Green Stuff World, but you can also gather them outside. They are an amazing product that adds so much character to the tile. Though they do need a ceiling of watered down PVA and some brown paint to tone down their brightness and secure them to the tile. All that is left is a small dot of orange wash on the mushrooms and the candles to add a touch of color to the tile. And that's it! The cemetery is completed. What a fun and fast build. It fits in perfectly with my other Springtide tiles. I hope you enjoyed these videos. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any questions, do get in touch. Are you interested in more terrain building techniques? Check out the link to my terrain tutorial series in the video description. Learn how to build a part of the destroyed settlement of Springtide. I will teach you the basics of foam construction, cliff sculpting, scratch building a windmill and mausoleum, and how to use grass, flock and trees to make a terrain project come alive.